After a short discussion, the elders of the Broken Moon clan quickly reached a decision. Master Aiden looked at Bobby with cold eyes and waved his hand. "You have the guts to admit your mistake," he said. "As a result, your punishment will be light." He turned to address the others. "Take him to the central hall." As soon as he finished speaking, several clan experts ranging from the Ascended Realm to the True Spirit Realm flew toward Bobby. Bobby smiled but didn't say anything. He just glanced toward the sky. A cold, evil mental energy aura suddenly filled the air, and the disciples hurried back to the ground. They peered around anxiously. "Who's there?" one of them said. The elders of the Broken Moon clan looked up toward the sky with shock. High in the clouds, a young man dressed in black sat on the back of a flying beast. "This is what happens when someone disrespects my master," he said coldly. His eyes were dark and angry, and they seemed to burn with a mysterious fire. "What a terrifying eye bloodline," said one of the elders of the Broken Moon clan quietly. Not only was the young man's eye bloodline very powerful, but his aura had also reached the true mystic rank. Apart from the two helpers, the elders were also at the true human rank. "Isn't that flying beast the one that was watching us earlier?" someone asked. The other people looked around, puzzled. It was true, not too long ago the exact same flying beast had been following the experts of the Broken Moon clan and keeping an eye on them. However, it appeared that the flying beast was under the control of the young man. "It looks familiar," some people muttered, staring at him. Noah's heart skipped a beat. "It can't be," he said. Johan gasped and explained. "Ludlow!" Back at the 13 Clans Alliance Challenge, the name Ludlow Thames had struck fear into everyone's heart. Nobody had been able to beat him or withstand his attacks apart from Bobby, Clara Reed, and a few others. Back then, Johan and Noah had been both defeated by him in just one move. Even several years later, the sight of Ludlow terrified him. His achievements had greatly surpassed their own. He was extremely talented and had a powerful eye bloodline. In fact, he was one of the most talented fighters in all of the 13 countries. At that moment, everyone started to mutter to each other excitedly, discussing his appearance. "That's Ludlow," one person said. "He's from the Iron Dragon Alliance. He's a core member of the Scarlet Moon called Toon. Why would he come here?" Noah didn't understand what was going on. Although both of them were from the Iron Dragon Alliance, Ludlow's status was far higher than his own. He had even been accepted into the Scarlet Moon cult and entered the Scarlet Moon inheritance. What shocked everyone the most was that he called Bobby his master. "Don't be disrespectful," Bobby said to Ludlow, a faint smile on his lips. "I need to go and apologize to Master Aiden." He turned away and walked slowly toward the central hall. No one dared to attack him. Master Aiden's eyes twinkled as he gathered the leaders of the Broken Moon clan and led them away. He wanted to arrive at the central hall first. Bobby walked very slowly and passed many familiar faces on the way. Halfway across the mountain, he came across two white-bearded elders. They stared at him wide-eyed, looking puzzled. "Bobby, you little brat," one of them said. "Why have you come back here?" He smiled at them warmly and nodded. "Mr. Marino, Mr. Ayers," he said, greeting them. He remembered the days where they had fought over who would take them as their disciple. He had learned the foundations of pill and array skills from them, but in the end, he had chosen not to follow in their footsteps. "Tell us, Bobby," they said urgently. "Why did you come back?" They had high hopes and expectations for him, and they didn't understand why he was doing. They hated the thought of seeing a prodigy like Bobby fall from grace. Relax, Bobby said with a smile, walking away. I haven't disappointed you. Mr. Ayers and Mr. Marino looked at each other surprised. They had noticed immediately that Bobby had reached the true spirit realm. However, his aura was unfathomable. Even when they examined him closely, they couldn't understand it. Although they could see that he was more powerful than any elder of the Broken Moon clan, they looked worried as they watched him walk away. Master Aiden and Elder Josephine and the remaining elders were waiting for him in front of the central hall. The aura of lightning in the floating crest palace appeared in the air above them, lighting up the sky. The floating crest palace, Bobby said, grinning at the unbelievable sight. Long time no see. The palace seemed to acknowledge his greeting and started to vibrate softly as if welcoming back an old friend. The senior elders glared at him with ugly expressions. The floating crest palace was the main inheritance of the Broken Moon clan, and they didn't understand what was going on. Look at him, someone muttered. What an arrogant brat. Suddenly, a booming sound rang out from the sky. A large figure flew through the air and the wind started to howl. The figure's aura was extremely dense, and it radiated a terrifying energy. Some of the true spirit realm elders started to shake. It's a true mystic rank, someone said. Not just that. They seem to be at the peak true mystic rank, someone else replied. Elder Josephine, Granny Lee, and all the other elders took a deep breath. 7th Core Elder, Master Aiden said, greeting the newcomer joyfully. The newcomer was one of the 2 reinforcements that he had called for. A few days ago, he had heard the news of Bobby's return and felt uneasy. After all, Bobby's miracles were famous across the 13 countries. Nobody knew what kind of path Mr. Hayden had set Bobby on. It was possible that he could bring in reinforcements from strong countries elsewhere. As a precaution, Master Aiden had asked the Iron Dragon Alliance for assistance. By that point, Bobby had already killed 2 core elders of the Iron Dragon Alliance, so they sent a high-ranking 7th Core Elder over. Master Aiden looked up to all of the core elders, but this particular elder was ranked 7th. He felt pleased. He had found a powerful ally. Another person appeared and strode toward them. As he got nearer, he threw back his head and laughed. You don't need to worry now, Mr. Aiden, he said. He was a smartly dressed middle-aged man with a sword slung across his back. It's Timothy Booth, someone exclaimed. Has Master Aiden hired him? Someone else asked. Timothy doesn't belong to any particular faction. He's a cultivator who roams around the 13 countries. Many elders of the Broken Moon clan recognized him immediately. In the cultivation world, most experts were aligned with a certain clan or family, but there were exceptions. Some cultivators were freelancers and they occasionally became top-tier experts, although the odds of that were very low. Timothy was one of these rare people, and he had a good relationship with the 13 clans. Under normal circumstances, he never participated in clan warfare and lived a peaceful life. However, Master Aiden had managed to hire him for a substantial price. The atmosphere around the central hall became tense. The appearance of the 7th Core Elder and Timothy had made everyone nervous. Compared to the 7th Core Elder, who seemed to be full of enmity, Timothy appeared much more peaceful. He smiled brightly as he turned to Bobby. Hello, young man, he said. Your master, Mr. Hayden, knows me very well. Since you've come back to the Broken Moon clan without honest intentions, I hope that we can resolve this situation without violence. Bobby acted as if he hadn't heard anything and continued to walk forward. He had only one goal in mind, and that was to speak to Master Aiden. You brat, shouted the 7th Core Elder. Even if you don't want to listen to us, I'll make sure you do. His aura became burning hot and he started to glow with a scarlet-purple light. The elders of the Broken Moon clan stared at him in shock. The 36 core elders of the Iron Dragon Alliance were all at the true Mystic rank, and the battle power of the top 10 was only exceeded by those at the true Lord rank. The 7th core elder was a rare type of body cultivator. He used his physical body to attack and crush others at the true Mystic rank. He could even threaten those at the true Lord rank in close combat. The elder charged toward Bobby in a blaze of flames as Timothy drew his sky cloud sword and lunged. A brilliant arc of light intertwined with lightning, mist, wind, and cloud swept through the air toward Bobby. The 2 true Mystic rank experts had made their moves, and everyone watched to see what Bobby would do next. However, as soon as the 7th core elder and Timothy approached him, they felt a deep sense of unease. Sitting on top of the flying beast, Ludlow's eyes turned black. He summoned the Scarlet Demon Moon Eye, and 2 dark red moons appeared. They were filled with powerful killing intent. With a flash, they flew through the air and struck the 7th core elder and Timothy, knocking them back. The 2 men spat out mouthfuls of blood. Once they had recovered, they looked up in shock at the young man in black who had them previously ignored. After 2 years, the most terrifying bloodline of the 13 countries had shown its power. What an awful eye bloodline technique, someone whispered. He just injured 2 true Mystic rank experts with a single glance, someone else whispered back. He's gotta be 100 times stronger than he was before. Discussions quickly broke out, especially those who had participated in the Alliance Challenge. Noah, who was standing in the back, could hardly contain his excitement. Ludlow entered the Scarlet Moon inheritance, he thought. He's probably unparalleled at the true Lord rank. It was hard to imagine how such a terrifying prodigy had come to be Bobby's subordinate.